Manchester United 2, Liverpool 2, and the game ending a draw. And to be honest, guys, there's one team that's going to be happy with this draw, and it is Manchester United. It is. I'm a Man United fan, and today the game, it was a crazy game. There's so much I want to talk about. There's so much for me to get into today. Great goal from Bruno, an even better goal, in my opinion, from Mainu. Of course, Salah and Diaz with the goals for Liverpool. And to be honest, we're going to talk about Liverpool and the chances that Liverpool missed today. Because, if I'm honest, this game was more of a 7-0 game than the actual 7-0 game. The opportunities and the chances that fell to Liverpool today, that they missed, they squandered, and they wasted, shows us so many things. First and foremost, we're not that far away from Liverpool. With a better manager and a better coach, we will actually be ahead of Liverpool. I'm not that impressed with Liverpool. I think United have better players. The way we play is not as good as they do. And that's coaching and that's management. But today showed me so many things. Liverpool are not as good as we, or as I, or as the world makes them out to be, essentially. And the chances that they missed today, like I said, this game was a 7-0 game. The game lacked quality in finishing. We can at least be honest and say that in terms of finishing, more from the Liverpool standpoint, because the two opportunities that United scored were good finishes. So this is more from the Liverpool standpoint. The finishing today, the way they squandered their chances. Listen, you can't complain about Bruno and garnacho squandering chances when Nunes exists. Nunes is a real person, you know? So the quality wasn't there. The way both teams set up, the way that both teams like to play on the transition. Sometimes some people call it counter-attack. Both teams feel more comfortable exploiting space that's left by the opposition on the transition or on the counter-attack. That's how both teams like to play. Whenever both teams play against a low block or well-organized defense, that's when you see struggle, right? So both teams kind of rely on the other team coming out to play football and leaving spaces to be exploited. That's normal. And that's what we saw today. But we saw so many times, I saw Liverpool 4 against 2 defenders, 5 sometimes against 2 defenders, creating opportunities, overload opportunities, and just not doing the right thing, not making the right decisions in the final third. Something that I accuse Man United for all the time. So like I said, going back to the original point, we're not that far off. And if we had a better coach who understood, or in my opinion, what is required in this league a bit more, we would be ahead of Liverpool. I'm not that impressed with Liverpool. And that is the basis of the conversation today. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the fact that both teams want to play this high press, high transition, quick football. And we saw it both on display today. One team is much better at doing it than the other. However, one team seems to have certain better quality in the end product department. Not by miles, but a little bit. United, what's rescued United this season time and time again, and I've said this many times on my channel, we have really poor 90-minute performances against most teams. We're very easy to play against. Today, we're going to talk about the fact that, Mainu, Bruno, as usual, were pushing up and leaving Casemiro by himself in the midfield. That's a big problem. But we're quite easy to play against. And that's also a very big problem. And we're going to talk about the way we set up. We're going to talk about the similarities in the way that we play. United and Liverpool play, and the fact that I strongly believe with a better manager, we will be in a much better position. Because as much as I criticize my football team, the football team that I support, I strongly believe that the players that we have, as some of them are not good. A lot of them are not good enough to be at this club. But a lot of them are better than what they are showing. Anyway, like I said, there's a lot to get into. If you're not... As usual, guys, smash the like, turn on the notifications, subscribe, share this video, and let's get into it. Grab yourself a drink, grab yourself a smoke, whatever you're doing, and just come, chill out, and have a debrief, an assessment. I'm going to talk to you about the game, first half, second half, what went wrong, what went right. As usual, we say what we see, we don't say how we feel. You know, we try to be objective. Try, which is the word, not to let biases, but everybody's biased. So let's go into it. As usual, starting lineup for me. I'm going to say the same thing. I don't like to comment too much on the starting lineup because I have a fundamental difference in opinion in terms of how I like to see football played compared to the manager. So I'm always going to not really agree with his formation. I don't really agree with his lineup, and I don't want to sound repetitive, so I'll just go as far as say I think Anthony should have started this game. Anthony has been, in my opinion, been our best forward over the last month. And I'm not talking about just scoring goals. I'm talking about, because I don't assess footballers in terms of how many goals and assists they get. Because I know goals and assists are circumstantial. Depends on who's around you, who's playing. Depends on if the ball bounces correctly for you. It depends on so many different things. Whereas I usually assess who's had a good 90-minute performance. For example, Bruno Fernandes will score goals and get assists, but usually his performance over 90 minutes is not that good, right? And he scored again today, but his performance still wasn't that good over the 90 minutes. And that goes for a lot of players who get goals, get assists, get a lot of love from the fan base, but over full 90 minutes, they have 50% possession. Garnacho, even though he's young, he's one of those players, and our striker, Højlund, that they don't play that well. Often they don't play well, but they don't get the criticism, they don't get the focal points because they're young and, other reasons that I'm not going to go into, but they should, because if you're good enough to play for Man United, then you're good enough to be criticised as well. It shouldn't be an age thing. And I think a lot of players get away with having really, really mediocre performances. It's about a 90-minute period, score a goal, and it's forgotten. If you're in defence or in midfield and you don't have the ability to score a goal or get an assist to mask your performance, then you'll be a Casemiro or Pogba. Casemiro saved us so many times from a defensive midfield position, a position you're not really supposed to score goals or get assists. He saved us so many times last season. Anyway, for me, like I said, Anthony deserves to start in the starting lineup. I'm not going to say much more. I still don't understand this whole Dalot, Aaron Wan-Bissaka being played on the left-hand side I do get it, because of Mo Salah, but I just think you should play players in that position. It is what it is. So what do you guys think of the starting lineup? I'm pretty sure you guys, a lot of you are going to have a lot to say about how you like the team to play and how you like the team to set up. I just think that conversation is so big, that conversation is so large. It's not for this video, and this video is usually just about talking about the game. I'm going to talk about what I saw today, right? So we can have the conversation any other time about how we see football and how, what team we would play and all that sort of thing. But for now, we'll talk about the game as we saw it. Okay, first half. Let's talk about the first half, guys, because this game, the Chelsea game was ping pong, right? Was basketball. This was similar. Man United actually started quicker than Liverpool, and we do usually start quite quick. That's something that I've said in many videos. One thing that the manager's got into United's head, and it's a way we play, the fast sort of transition football that the manager wants us to play. We do play quite quickly. And we started quite quick. We started moving it quickly. United started more on the front foot. And because of that, I thought, yes, we could win this game. I noticed first 10 minutes, as usual, is when I do my initial assessment. I noticed that the pressing, if you guys noticed as well, we were pressing quite high a lot of the times. And I get nervous when we press quite high because I don't think this team knows how to press intelligently. I don't think the pressing triggers are there. I see some people pressing, some people not pressing, some people running out of position when they're pressing. I'm not always confident when United press. And the reason why I'm also not quite confident when United press, apart from what I just said, is because Liverpool are a team that plays well against teams who come out and press them, come out towards them. You can win the ball and score against them if you're really good at it, but also they can exploit the space. However, after the first 10 minutes, Liverpool started getting more into the game, started to get a foothold. Their midfield got a foothold in the game. Liverpool started pushing United back towards their own penalty box, and we started retreating. However, like I said, United retreating into the penalty box and essentially retreating back into shape is not a bad thing for United, because Liverpool would rather play against a team on the transition, rather a team that gets back quickly, gets back into their shape, and they have to be forced to break down two low blocks, which Liverpool don't really want to do, right? They don't. But like I said, Liverpool still got a foot of the game. They still passed the ball around, didn't create too many chances, really, until around the 17th minute. And this chance I want to talk about, because Robinson should have scored in this chance. He was almost unmarked. And the chance really came about because Liverpool won the ball when Kobe Manu was really high up the field. And I started looking at Kobe Manu and I started looking at how he was pressing. And I think one of the commentators also noticed this. When we started playing football at the start of the season, we had Mount, Bruno, I think Casemiro potentially. And Mount and Bruno would play really high up and leave Casemiro by himself. Would play really high up, try to win the ball back, high intensity sort of football. It didn't work. Today, I saw a version of that where Bruno and Kobe at times were pressing really high up, too high up, in my opinion, once again leaving Casemiro at the base of the midfield. Two things. One, Casemiro has never played there. Even for Real Madrid, he did not play there. Cruz played there. Cruz was the one who picked the ball up from the back four. Casemiro was a box-to-box player. That's the role he played. He's not the guy, he's not the Pogba, he's not the Pirlo, he's not Michael Carrick, he's not the guy to pick the ball up from the... He can, but he's not really the guy the De Jong, to drop a shoulder and pick the ball up from the centre-back like you want him to. He's not that guy. So playing him there is always a problem, in my opinion. He's a combative midfielder. He's a box-to-box player. That's what he is. So leaving... And this, I mean, we've seen this as a problem. A lot of people have then blamed Casemiro for the way we played rather than looking at the system. And those people are not really intelligent. There's a lot of people, and I say this a lot, who don't actually like football. What I mean by that is there's a lot of people who won't watch the intricacies, the detail, the space, the movement. There's a lot of people who don't care about that. All they do is sit down and wait for a goal to be scored. And when the goal is scored, they either cheer if it's their team or be sad if it's not their team. And that's how they watch football. They don't actually watch football, to the point where if there's no crowd, right, and there's no atmosphere, you might not watch it, which means you're not watching it for football. You're watching it for the crowd. You're watching it for the atmosphere, for the feeling. And that's cool. You're watching it for the feeling that it gives you. But if you're just watching something just for the dopamine rush or for the feeling, you're not really truly appreciating the other parts of it. You don't really love it. You love the feeling it gives you if your team wins. You don't love the sport passionately. And that's the problem I have with a lot of football fans. A lot of football fans haven't played football before, so they don't understand how difficult things are. And they also start rating players for doing the easiest things and not understanding some of the best footballers aren't the footballers that you rate highly. They might not get loads of goals and assists, but what they do on the football is technically a higher level to some of the footballers that you rate very highly that might get more goals and assists. And there's all of these nuances and complications in the way that we interpret football can't really be understood if you don't love football, you know? And that's just my opinion, you know? Anyway, like I said, Robertson should have scored the opportunity, and I've started noticing the way that we played, the way that we were pressing was leaving spaces for Liverpool in the midfield, and which we haven't. I think we've seen this as United fans for a long time. That's how we play it, and it's been addressed slightly by Kobe and Bruno sometimes dropping deeper, but it's still a problem. But I mean, we didn't have to wait long for the first goal, for Liverpool's first goal, and it was coming. It was coming. After a while, after the first 10 minutes where we started quickly, Liverpool got into the game very quickly. And we don't really concede goals from set pieces. So I was a bit surprised about this one. Ruben Diaz was a good goal, to be honest. Flick on from Nunes, and he was unmarked from the far corner. far post and he volleyed it in. And we might as well talk about this one a little bit and say how. I guess the question I want to ask you guys really is what you think of zonal marking versus man marking, because clearly that goal was scored and United were adopting zonal marking. There were two people at the far post completely unmarked, and I don't know why. There were also two people covering the goal, one on either side of the post, which is quite unusual to see. If we were adopting man marking, I don't think that goal goes in. I really don't. And that's coaching. That's simple as that. And that's what I will say about the goal. There's no point blaming the goalkeeper or blaming whatever. There should have been somebody marking Ruben Diaz at the far post. It's really that simple. But, the first half, nothing really improved for Manchester United. After that, Salah had 2 or 3 chances to score, literally in a few minutes apart from each other. On the break, on the transition is when Liverpool kept trying to hurt United. And every time they transitioned, every time they won the ball, whether they won the ball up high or, they turned over possession, and they went on a counter-attack or the attack, they looked like they could potentially score past United. So many opportunities, especially in the last sort of 4 or 5 minutes before the first half concluded, for Liverpool to score, and they just squandered them all the time. 4 against 2, like I said, 5 against 2. Nunes, Diaz overlapping. Surely someone's going to score. No, somebody makes the wrong decision. Somebody decides to fire it across the goal rather than putting it back. Someone decides to put it back rather than fight. It was all like, okay, this is the team that's in the top 4 that's battling for the title. And this is how they are playing. And I'm thinking, hold on a second. They just kind of look like us. They kind of look like United. And in fact, if Manchester United had the chances that Liverpool had, we would have won the game. So it made me think, hold on a second. There is, and when I look at Liverpool's players individually, I'm like, I don't know, we have good players. If we had a better coach, a better manager, we should be, because we finished in the top 3 last year, and now we're 6th, 7th. What's happened? The manager, in my opinion, has to go. He has to go. But, second half, let's talk about it. Bruno's goal. Now, I see people now saying, it's the best goal ever, and it was a good finish from Bruno. What I liked about Bruno's goal was that I don't think he took a touch. I think the ball just came to him and he just shot straight away. I like that about it. He didn't even think it was a straight shot. However, the goal wasn't that difficult to actually to score. The goalkeeper was so far out, right, that he didn't even need to lob the goalkeeper. Like, the goalkeeper so far out of the goal and so far to the left that he didn't even need to lob the goalkeeper. He just needs to side foot it from 40 yards into the goal, which is kind of what he didn't use his side foot, he used his laces, but he could have side footed it. The goal wasn't actually that difficult because the goalkeeper was nowhere near the goal. And as long as he got it on target, he was always going to score. But he still had to score. So, not a difficult goal, but still a good goal. That's my assessment. Bruno didn't have the greatest game. Most players for United didn't really have the greatest game today, to be fair. I think Dallo's is probably been one of our more consistent footballers. I think he had a decent game today. Højlund, the striker, I'm going to say something that shouldn't be controversial. It shouldn't be. He's not good. I think a lot of people are emotional when it comes to Højlund. He's young, he's this, he's that. Forget all of that. Forget all that emotional stuff. Or just imagine that he did something. Just imagine he murdered 100 people, right? And you got no love for him, just pure hate. Now look at him as a footballer. Look at how he plays football. Look at his movement. Look at the way he controls the ball. Look at his touch. Look at his passing. He has very few fundamentals that I like. The one thing that's good that he's got going for him is his speed. He's quite quick. And he does seem to have a strong shot on him. But even when he shoots, he's always falling over. He's always off balance when he shoots. And a lot of people talk about training and coaching improving players. Coaching improves performances. Coaching hides deficiencies. Coaching and team shape will make some player looks better. It doesn't make you control the ball better. It doesn't make you shoot. Well, you can improve your shooting, but I think sometimes we overrate what training does. Training doesn't necessarily improve you drastically as a footballer. You don't go from not being able to do something to being able to do something very quickly in training. It's once you pass a certain age, it's hard to drastically improve. You can improve by training, but what training can also do is make you understand what sort of player you are and makes you understand what to do and what not to do. You know? And I don't think with any kind of training, Hoyland can go from being what he is to being the striker that we need him to be. I'm just being honest. Like, he's never scored goals anywhere, ever. Even at Atlanta, he scored, what, 5, 6 goals. So we bought a footballer who does not score goals, has never scored goals, and we expect him to start scoring goals because why? It's a genuine question. Why? Why do you think he's going to start doing something he's never done in his life, in his career ever? There's a lot of religion in supporting football clubs, and therefore a lot of feeling in crowds, just normal logical assessments. Simple logical assessments you will make while working for a business or something, you can't do while being a supporter of a football team because it's too emotional. It's like a religion, isn't it? But that's my opinion. I don't think he's good enough. We need a new striker. There's a lot of players that I don't think are good enough. And I'm not picking on Hoyland in this video because in every video, last video I spoke about Garnacho. And the next video I'll speak about someone else. So I'll try to spread it out a bit in terms of my assessment of footballers and, try not to pick on players, but just look at them objectively and see what they bring and see what they don't bring and assess them as objectively as I can rather than emotionally, rather than goals and assists. No, how good is he at passing the ball? How good is he at reading the play? Those are the things we need to be looking at. Anyway, that was a good goal from Bruno. Like I said, 1-1. Back in the game. After that, Liverpool, like I said, in the second half, just like in the first half, similarly, chances, 5 versus 2, 4 versus 2. There was a time where I think an opportunity around the 54th minute where Nunes had to put it back. He had to put it back and he just fired it across the goal. And I was thinking, this Liverpool team isn't that good. They have a lot of brain-dead footballers. A lot of brain-dead footballers. And funny enough, United. And thing is, as a United fan, I was watching the Man U goal, and I kind of knew he was going to score because I had a feeling, had a hunch. And I was thinking, good. I'm so glad that, well, of course I'm glad we scored, but I'm also glad that we scored because I was thinking, all the chances that Liverpool are getting, and they're not eating their food. They're not eating their dinner. I hope we go and slap them. And when Kobe scored, I genuinely thought, you know what? We could actually win this game. We could actually go on to win this game. What a finish from the kid. What a finish, man. Like, I criticized him early on in this video and I spoke about his positioning and what he was doing in terms of pressing and leaving spaces. And that could be an instruction from the manager. Who knows? But his finish today, the way he took the goal, he didn't even think, he didn't even look up. You know when a player knows where they are, knows where the goal is in terms of their position, so they don't need to look up. I think Mason Greenwood had that. Mason Greenwood could just not really look up, but just know that the bottom corner was there and the far corner was there. And then, smash. Kobe he knew where he was in relation to the goal. He didn't need to really focus on the corner, and the goal was just really, really good. It's a really good goal. A lot of people are overdoing the Kobe Manu thing, calling him the next Pogba. He's not Pogba. He's probably closer to Clarence Seedorf. I'm not even calling him Clarence Seedorf. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Clarence before anybody gets excited. But in terms of who he's like, he's more closer to that sort of footballer than he is to Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba could dribble and do things, that I can't see Kobe doing. But it was a really good goal. And after that goal, nothing really happened for about 5 or 10 minutes before Liverpool started once again getting their foot back into the game. Liverpool really are the ones who need to get a result out of this game because they're the ones And that's the thing, they're the ones going for the title, and it just didn't seem like this is a top 3 team, and we're 6th or 7th, and this is how they're playing. I don't know. It was a very strange game to witness. But Liverpool got slowly back into the game, like I said, after our second goal, and we didn't really kick on. And very interestingly, the manager started making defensive subs. I mean, Rashford had to go off for Anthony. I think Anthony should have started in the first place. Garnacho moved onto the left, and we scored that Miney goal when Garnacho moved onto the left. He came off. Amrabat came on. And we kind of made a few defensive changes, and it seems as if this manager wanted to shore up the result. He didn't want to go for another goal. And I think that's probably where he went wrong. Whenever he makes defensive changes, we don't really do well. Whenever he brings on a Scott McTominay, I don't think it really works. And after the defensive changes, the thing is, it's not necessarily because of them either. Correlation doesn't mean causation. But the penalty that we gave away, and let's talk about the penalty, because, guys, that is our 3rd penalty that we've conceded in 2 games. We conceded 2 penalties in the last game against Chelsea, I believe, and 1 today. Let's keep a note. Let's keep a look on that. Yeah, just in case it becomes a thing. I don't think it will, but I'm very intrigued because the penalties that we conceded have all come from the wing, the wide areas, the fullback areas. Anthony, Dalot, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So let's just keep an eye on that, and let's not come to any conclusions until we understand why we conceded these sort of penalties from those areas. But Salah, nothing else to say about the fact that you scored a penalty. Strikers should really score penalties. You shouldn't really miss penalties. So he scored a penalty, 2-2. Nothing else really happened after that. Nunes, I think, had an opportunity around the 93rd minute where he blasted over. But that sums up Liverpool's game. I mean, Liverpool, as I keep saying, had the chances and opportunities to win this game 7-0 again. It didn't happen. And that's football. That's football for you. This game should have been a 7-0. It wasn't. The 7-0 game should not have been a 7-0. And it was. What can you say? What can you do? Nothing. That's my assessment of the game. That's how I saw it. Essentially, 2 heavy metal teams. The heavy metal teams want to just do counter-attacking, quick stuff. Neither teams really want to keep possession of the ball. They probably rather the opposition have the ball. You could argue. But I didn't see much difference. I honestly think with a better coach or under a better system, with the likes of Amad Diallo playing, Liverpool would not be where they are. And in fact, Man United should be in the top 4. Anyway, that's how I saw the game. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts. What did you guys think of the game? Who was your man of the match? My man of the match is... I would say my man of the match is... It's very difficult. I don't think anyone stood out for me. I'll be safe. I say Dalot. I say Dalot because he had... Even though Ruben Diaz scored, he was on the line. He was on the post when he scored. So he did make a few mistakes, but I'll say Dalot because I'm thinking everyone else had made noticeable errors for me in that game. Or didn't really do much, like Højlund, who did nothing in that game. So I'm going to give it to Dalot because he's been consistently good, and I think he was probably over the 90 minutes had the most solid performance. Out of the... Who was your man of the match? Who would you give it to? What do you guys think of the game? The system? Give me your thoughts. This has been a very long video. I hope you guys have stuck around. As usual, like, share, subscribe. And yeah, have a good day. Have a good week, people. See you guys next time.